Peter ate the last carrot. Peter ate the last carrot. Then he rubbed his belly. Then he rubbed his belly.
I'm still hungry,
he said.
I'm still hungry,
he said.
Me too,
said Cottontail and Mopsy.
Me too,
said Cottontail and Mopsy. Mrs. Rabbit was in town. Mrs. Rabbit was in town. She left some vegetables for her bunnies. She left some vegetables for her bunnies. But now the basket was empty. But now the basket was empty,
Benjamin has a big garden,
said Mopsy.
Benjamin has a big garden.
Said Mopsy.
Let's ask him for some vegetables. Let's ask him for some vegetables.
The 4 bunnies hopped to Benjamin's garden. The 4 bunnies hopped to Benjamin's garden.
We're hungry,
said Mopsy.
we're hungry.
Said Mopsy.
Do you have any vegetables for us? Do you have any vegetables for us?
Benjamin shook his head. Benjamin shook his head. I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry, he said. I just ate the last pea. I just ate the last pea. The bunnies hopped home. The bunnies hopped home.
I have an idea,
said Peter.
I have an idea.
Said Peter.
Let's go to the farmer's trash pile. Let's go to the farmer's trash pile. There's plenty of food there. There's plenty of food there. Yes!
said Cottontail and Mopsy.
Yes!
said Cottontail and Mopsy. Flopsy shook her head. Flopsy shook her head.
Mother will be angry.
She said.
Mother will be angry.
She said.
It is not safe. It is not safe. Father went there, and he never came home. Father went there, and he never came home. But we're hungry,
said Mopsy and Cottontail.
but we're hungry.
Said Mopsy and Cottontail. The 2 bunnies started to cry. The 2 bunnies started to cry. Peter was already hopping toward the door. Peter was already hopping toward the door.
Come on, Flopsy.
He said.
Come on, Flopsy.
He said.
Let's go. Let's go.
Peter ran toward the trash pile. Peter ran toward the trash pile. So did Mopsy and Cottontail. So did Mopsy and Cottontail. Flopsy slowly hopped after them. Flopsy slowly hopped after them. She was worried about the farmer. She was worried about the farmer. Flopsy saw lots of trash. Flopsy saw lots of trash. There were bags and pots and old boots. There were bags and pots and old boots. Peter sniffed the air. Peter sniffed the air.
I smell rotting vegetables,
he said.
I smell rotting vegetables,
he said.
I see lots of flies,
said Cottontail.
I see lots of flies,
said Cottontail. Suddenly, the bunnies spotted something green. Suddenly, the bunnies spotted something green.
Mmm,
cried Mopsy.
lettuce! Mmm,
cried Mopsy.
lettuce! Peas!
cried Cottontail.
Peas!
cried Cottontail.
Come on, Flopsy, let's eat! Come on, Flopsy, let's eat!
Even Flopsy ate peas and lettuce. Even Flopsy ate peas and lettuce. Soon, the bunnies were very full. Soon, the bunnies were very full. The sun felt very warm. The sun felt very warm. 3 bunnies fell asleep. 3 bunnies fell asleep. Flopsy was tired too. Flopsy was tired too. But she could not sleep. But she could not sleep. She was worried about the farmer. She was worried about the farmer. And Mother was coming home soon. And Mother was coming home soon. Flies buzzed around Flopsy's head. Flies buzzed around Flopsy's head.
Ugh!
Flopsy swatted the flies.
Ugh!
Flopsy swatted the flies. Then Flopsy spotted a paper bag. Then Flopsy spotted a paper bag. She put the bag over her head. She put the bag over her head.
Now the flies won't bother me. Now the flies won't bother me. And soon we will go home. And soon we will go home.
Suddenly, Flopsy heard a sound. Suddenly, Flopsy heard a sound. Shh! Mrs. Tittlemouse ran toward her. Shh! Mrs. Tittlemouse ran toward her.
You must hide.
The mouse whispered.
You must hide.
The mouse whispered.
The farmer is coming. The farmer is coming. Oh no!
Thought Flopsy.
Oh no!
Thought Flopsy.
The farmer is coming! The farmer is coming!
Mrs. Tittlemouse jumped into a pot. Mrs. Tittlemouse jumped into a pot. Flopsy hid under the paper bag. Flopsy hid under the paper bag. The other bunnies were still sleeping. The other bunnies were still sleeping. Flopsy shook with fear. Flopsy shook with fear.
This is terrible,
She thought.
This is terrible.
She thought.
The farmer will get the bunnies. The farmer will get the bunnies.
The farmer had a sack of grass. The farmer had a sack of grass. He dumped the grass onto the trash pile. He dumped the grass onto the trash pile.
Huh.
The farmer looked down.
Huh.
The farmer looked down.
I see little brown ears. I see little brown ears.
The farmer bent closer to the pile. The farmer bent closer to the pile.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 little rabbits. 3 little rabbits.
The farmer scooped up the bunnies. The farmer scooped up the bunnies. He dropped them into his sack. He dropped them into his sack.
Yum!
Said the farmer.
Yum!
Said the farmer.
I have big plans for these rabbits. I have big plans for these rabbits.
The farmer tied the sack with string. The farmer tied the sack with string.
First, I must put away my lawnmower. First, I must put away my lawnmower. Then I'll come back. Then I'll come back.
The farmer left. The farmer left.
Oh no!
Flopsy cried.
Oh no!
Flopsy cried. She ran to the sack. She ran to the sack. Flopsy tried to rip the string from the sack. Flopsy tried to rip the string from the sack.
It's too tight!
She cried.
It's too tight!
She cried.
The farmer will take the bunnies! The farmer will take the bunnies!
Mrs. Rabbit came home. Mrs. Rabbit came home. "Where are my bunnies?" she said. "Where are my bunnies?" she said. Then she saw the empty basket. Then she saw the empty basket. Mrs. Rabbit quickly hopped across the field. Mrs. Rabbit quickly hopped across the field. She spotted Flopsy near the trash pile. She spotted Flopsy near the trash pile. "Help!" cried Flopsy. "Help!" cried Flopsy. Mrs. Rabbit and Flopsy pulled at the string. Mrs. Rabbit and Flopsy pulled at the string. But it was too tight. But it was too tight.
I can help,
called Mrs. Tittlemouse.
I can help,
called Mrs. Tittlemouse. She nibbled the string. She nibbled the string. And the string broke. And the string broke.
"Hide your bunnies,"
said Mrs. Tittlemouse.
"Hide your bunnies,"
said Mrs. Tittlemouse.
"The farmer will be back soon. The farmer will be back soon."
Mrs. Rabbit smiled. "I have a plan." Mrs. Rabbit smiled. "I have a plan." Soon, the farmer came back for the sack. Soon, the farmer came back for the sack. He brought it to his wife. He brought it to his wife.
"3 rabbits,"
the farmer said.
3 rabbits,
the farmer said.
"We can have a special treat. We can have a special treat."
The farmer's wife looked in the sack. The farmer's wife looked in the sack.
"These aren't rabbits,"
she yelled.
"These aren't rabbits,"
she yelled.
"What?
The farmer looked in the sack.
What?
The farmer looked in the sack.
Rotting vegetables! Rotting vegetables!
Outside, the 5 bunnies laughed. Outside, the 5 bunnies laughed.
"Your plan worked, Mother,"
said Flopsy.
"Your plan worked, Mother,"
said said Flopsy.
You tricked the farmer,
Said Peter.
You tricked the farmer,
Said Peter. Mrs. Rabbit nodded. Come on, bunnies. Mrs. Rabbit nodded. Come on, bunnies. It's time to go home. It's time to go home,
Yes!
said 3 bunnies.
Yes!
Said 3 bunnies.
We're hungry again! We're hungry again!